Welcome to Namas University Lecture 60. This is Wise One. I am one of many beings known as the Wise Ones. We govern and head the devas across the cosmos. I am a multi-dimensional being with many facets and faces. My responsibility is for the Milky Way. The consciousness which speaks now is concentrated here on Earth, on the dense physical, up to the sixth dimension. Other segments of my being reside and govern over the others, not just on this timeline, but on all of them. My origins as a wise one began in the second universe at the time of frequency and song. I took an affinity to management from the onset. Orchestrating symphony was my forte. As the universe expanded in complexity and the demand for greater nuance grew, my ability to remain focused and grounded in the grander scheme without becoming lost in the minutiae of countless projects and details elevated my responsibility and reach. Today, my core resides on the 18th dimension. This is the place where all wise ones converge. Our experience is vast, and our being equally so. We are all conductors of the great orchestra of frequency. We answer to the Creator alone and follow His plan unquestionably. We are responsible for coordinating divine order according to the divine laws. Free will is an extension of the divine Creator, and we devas have honoured the requests put forward, balanced, and made good of them. Impartiality was easy in the beginning, as the judgment of the Creator was conducive to growth and the betterment of all. Although free will was given to all beings, devas, for all intents and purposes, were to remain dutiful, loyal, and obedient to the divine. And for this reason, we were denied the gift of creative free will. We are the servants that maintain the infrastructure and systems that make life an experience of change and variety. We are like the hardware or the operating system of the universe, facilitating its mutation and evolution. Its design, though, sits in the remit of the composers, those with creative willpower. And for the bulk of time, this arrangement was respectful and fair, and accepted with grace. Time is a fascinating subject. Paradoxically, time is an illusion, and yet it is the foundation of what you might call reality. It was created to facilitate movement. Movement is change, and change allows growth, development, experimentation, and ultimately learning. Time is the playing field, and what happens on the playing field is life. Time has no significance to the immortal. There is no sense of urgency when time ponders on without ending. Very little would get done without a schedule, due dates, or a plan of intent. Existence as we know it loops in a cyclical pattern. It could be likened to a breath, a drawing in of substance and experience, followed by its assimilation and exchange, ending in the expulsion of waste and a yearning for more before the inevitable drive for renewed sustenance triggers the next inhalation of experience to repeat the cycle. These intentional phases in a cycle are distinct and mirrored on both the micro and macrocosmic level. Only longevity really differs, but the principal actions remain the same. Where confusion arises is with the assumption of ending. Humanity has bought into the belief of finality, or more specifically, fatality. An abrupt end that is absolute. At least this has been the general consensus of many. Death is final, but the afterlife is oddly singular, a retirement, and seemingly indefinite in the supposed perpetuity and duration. This couldn't be further from the truth. Life goes on. It changes, yes, but it most definitely goes on. Nothing truly dies, it transforms, and this is the way of all things. We may take moments of solace to reflect and unwind, but even then, we are still in a flux of change, albeit more comfortably. One thing is clear in the cycles and phases of life is that there are peaks in activity followed by troughs. If you were to draw a circle in the air in front of you, you'd end up with a circle, of course. But we are never truly static, we move. Draw the same circle again whilst stepping to the side, and a spiral would be left in the wake of your finger. We never return to the same point in time. We move along in yet another cycle of experience. Viewing the same spiral on a two-dimensional axis, you would see the common representation of a sine wave, a frequency wave. The universe is not made up of waves, though. It is made up of spirals. This is true frequency. Take a common depiction of our solar system. Solaris, our sun, sits at a center, while the planets, including Earth, orbit in concentric rings and circles. This may be a fine depiction when observed from the viewpoint of the sun. Indeed, the relative position of the planets do actually encircle the sun. But the sun is not static either. It has its own orbit that careens it around the grand central sun, Helios, which resides at the center of our galaxy. So really, the Earth is spiraling through the galaxy, much like your finger a moment ago, always changing its position, expressing a frequency. Go further out again, and you will see that the galaxies move around each other, and even collide with their neighbors over vast periods of time. All of this chaos is driven by cycles within time, allowing for an indefinite exploration of new positions of perspective and experience. Just like the planets, suns, and galaxies, we beings all orbit each other, exerting our own gravitational field, pulling away or toward one another. We are entangled. Just by being, we influence everyone and everything, and are influenced by everyone and everything. And much like how the size of a celestial body affects the strength of its gravitational pull, the strength of the mind alters the influence it radiates. The greater the mind, the greater the impact on those around it. Where this analogy between minds and planets doesn't fit so neatly together is with the direction of movement. Unlike the orbit of the Earth, a mind has the choice in the direction it moves in, or at least the illusion of choice. When looked at through a narrow depth of field, the choices we make may appear random. But I assure you there is an underlying current beneath it all. There is a collective agreement on the wider path of destiny. The trajectory of what is wanted in terms of learning and exploration. This path is what you might call a timeline. Willpower is the means of voting on how that timeline will play out. This is agreed in principle at the cosmic, galactic, planetary, and individual level. The wider the scope, then the wider the demographic of voters or stakeholders. We all cast our vote. And all these beings exerting their own willpower come together like multiple currents of water molecules moving down the same river of time. There may be eddies, obstacles, even small diversions, but we all travel in the same direction, on the same timeline, connected and bound in unity. There is order in the chaos and an underlying rhythm that ties us all together. What did I mean earlier by the mind's having the illusion of choice? Actualization of choice requires control. That largely depends on the power of the mind and the influence it has, whether its current is strong enough to overcome the interference or entanglement of those around it. A weak or unfocused mind may have such little influence that they barely even make a ripple. It became clear to those that observed such things that willpower could be pulled collectively to amass a larger impact on the wider plan. As a result of this realization, groups and societies formed to extend their collective power base. Some of these were benevolent, others were not. You could say that willpower became a source of spiritual income, and the means to obtain it, even by force, became a game in itself. Most people of Earth have traded off their individual voice, either willingly or not, knowingly or not, because of pressure, deception, manipulation, or a desire to conform. The suppressed and oppressed masses have relinquished sovereignty and control of their minds. In many ways, Earth has become a feudalistic cultivator of willpower. The infrastructure created by these so-called controllers is elaborate, impressive, and highly effective. There are many ways to dominate a mind, and unfortunately, most have been used here on Earth, all with the aim of extending the orbits of a few over the many, to gain unrivaled influence over the timelines and where they take us. And this is where I shall leave you. Before I go, an announcement. It is with great pleasure I can share with you that the auto-cleansing portal of Earth has been activated by the Triangle of Light. Great Mother Kali's sacred fire flame orb of cleansing, the flame of collective consciousness of ancestors' head core for transformation and love, and the flame of God Shiva for ultimate protection and shielding. If anyone is feeling under threat of attack or just in need of some tender love and care, you are welcome to visit the healing city reawakened in the Sea of Crete and Cyclades. You will find it 170 feet below the water's surface. Keep an eye out for raw black tourmaline pillars. Thank you for listening to Namas University. Please join us again next week.
SANAT KUMARA